What is the slope of the line tangent to the graph of this at x equals 1? What this is really just saying is find the y prime of 1. That's really what it's saying. Just another way of saying it. Tangent line, slope of the tangent line is instantaneous rate of change, which is the derivative. So let's just take the derivative of this quotient problem and plug in 1. Can we simplify this? Well, we could. We could simplify this and change it into a product rule, but I'm going to leave it as a quotient for now. All right? So my would have is y prime is equal to the derivative of 3e to the x is just 3e to the x. Leave the x to the 1/2. Remember, the square root of x is x to the 1/2. Minus, this would be leave the 3e to the x, and take the derivative of the bottom, which would be 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. All right. So what we now have there, and then we don't forget, we divide by x to the 1/2 squared. Now, I could try to start simplifying this, but this fraction is going to get annoying. I'm like, oh, no, that stinks. But we don't have to simplify it. That's what I want you to notice. Whenever we're finding the derivative at a point, we simply plug it in now and be done with it. We do not need to we do not need to simplify. So y prime of 1 is going to be equal to 3e to the first times 1, or let's just call it the square root of 1. A little bit easier going back to that. 3e to the first, and this would be 1 over 2, the square root of 1. And that would all be around the square root of 1 squared. So let's now clean this up. All right, what do we got? What do we get here? Y prime at 1 is equal to 3e. The square root of 1 is 1, so this basically just disappears. I can just kind of cross it out because it just is 1. And then minus 3e, and this would be, the square root of 1 is 1 again, so this would be that times 1/2, so won't that be just over 2? And won't all of that be over 1? Isn't this just 1? So I don't need to put the 1 on the bottom. So all these 1s that kind of disappear. So this is it. Again, because the bottom's 1, this disappears, that disappears. I mean, they all kind of disappear. So that disappears, that disappears, because they're all 1s, and 1s multiplied so don't change anything. I'm not crossing those out. They just kind of disappear. All right, so next, can we simplify this? Well, there's different ways to simplify. I'm going to do it with the GCF method. Can't we pull a 3e out, leaving you 1 minus 1/2? Not everybody thinks about a GCF. We will now have 3e times 1/2, because 1 minus 1/2 is 1/2. So my final answer would just be 3e over 2. So it is 3e over 2 is the derivative at 1. What is the instantaneous rate of change at x equals negative 2 of the function f given by this? All right, so really what that's saying is, what's f prime 2? So our goal here is finding f prime of, not 2, but, sorry, negative 2. That's our goal. So let's go for it. First thing we're going to do is take the derivative of f. So f prime x is equal to the derivative of 3 minus x, which would just be negative 1. Be careful. A lot of people miss this as a negative right here. So this is gone, and it becomes negative 1. So yeah, watch out for that one. Leave the bottom, so the x squared plus 1 comes next. Don't change that. Minus, leave the 3 minus x, and then multiply by the derivative of the bottom, which is 2x plus nothing, or just 2x. And that's all over x squared plus 1, all squared. Now you could try to simplify this. If it was just straight derivative, you simplify that. But in this situation, we're actually plugging in negative 2. So let's not simplify it. Let's just plug in what we have. So f prime 2. Sorry, not 2, but negative 2. Keep saying that wrong. That would be negative 1 times negative 2 squared plus 1 minus 3 minus negative 2 times 2 times negative 2 all over negative 2 squared plus 1 all squared. So let's see what we get now. F prime negative 2 is equal to negative 1 times, well, negative 2 squared plus 1 is 5, minus 3 minus negative 2 would be 5. And 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. That's all over negative 2 squared, which is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5, which is 5 squared. Let's continue. That would be negative 5 plus 20 all over 5 squared, which is 25, which that would equal 15 over 25, which that can be reduced to 3/5. So the answer is 3/5. The slope at negative 2 is 3/5.